Hello, everyone, and why the hell is the camera tilted that far up? That's better. Hello, everyone. Drew here for Drew That Underground, back with another. Would we call this a Breaking Rocks? Probably not, right?
No, probably not.
But it is a comparison stream.
Yeah, you intended it. You intended it to be an "Is it worth it?" But I said that was kind of a little off.
Yeah, because initially I wanted to do one a dedicated one to Top Gun Maverick, which you eloquently put that we probably did that already.
Yeah, it's been a couple of months and everybody already knows about it. So
Except for I had only just watched it on the 4th of July because I bought the Blu-ray for it. So I finally got to see it myself. Just like I bought John Wick 1, 2, and 3 on DVD, which I intend to watch soon. And this could probably be a precursor to what Phil wants to do on his channel. Have a roundtable discussion about the 3 Indiana Jones original films. The Last Crusade and the other 2 as well, which will be coming on his channel, so go check that out. He'll let you guys know when he winds up doing that at that point. But point is for us here to compare and discuss the differences between the utter fucking failure that is Indiana Jones 5, The Dial of Destiny, aka The Dial of Disaster, aka, as Gary puts it, The Dial of Diarrhea.
And I've actually heard some really creative ones on that one.
And to compare it to what some probably used to call the Kingdom of the Crystal Waste of Time, or the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, in other words.
But yeah,
but
I think it was Drinker that called it the Dial of Density, or the Density of Destiny, or something.
Well, shout out to Critical Drinker as well.
Yeah, his review is good.
But the reason for doing this was also inspired by Hill versus Babyface, who did something that we have done many times for Star Wars. He verbally rewrote the Dial of Destiny on his channel. And in him doing that, he turned it into a point-for-point sequel of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull at that point, which was actually a lot better than what Dial of Destiny turned out to be.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, I want Hill versus Babyface as president of Lucasfilm, anyway. But, all that aside, you and I saw Kingdom of the Crystal Skull in theaters at the time, and what was your initial thoughts coming out of the theater for it?
Well, I felt like quite a bit of what they did in that film was a little bit cheeky. Like they knew they were being a bit hilarious with it and absurdist. Now, to be fair, absurdism kind of did play through into the original films, the first 3. So it's not like the whole nuclear bomb fridge scene, for instance, or the rocket sled scene was something that they would have never done. They probably would have done something that crazy in the originals, if that were the setting. So it's not so much all that biz, because some people criticize that, and I'm like, yeah, but if you go back and look at the original 3, you'll see there's a lot of silliness in there too, especially Temple of Doom. But the other thing I was going to say about it is they didn't insult the character. They didn't spend the whole film telling him he's dumb, that he's out of touch, that he doesn't know what he's talking about. They didn't make him into a moron. He was still admired by the other characters. You still had that little playful sort of back and forth between him and Marion. And so that worked for the most part. I mean, some people were like, oh yeah, she shouldn't have even been in the film. They should have killed her off already, which they ended up doing in this film.
As well as Mud.
Yeah, as well as Mutt, which is just thanks a lot, guys. Just fucking thank. And unceremoniously in Mutt's case, and it's just like, oh, he died in Vietnam. Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, the thing is that they were just like, it kind of reminded me. This current one is a lot more like, if I had to compare to Star Wars, which you should in the case of everything from Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
If Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is like Attack of the Clones, then this is The Last Jedi. I mean, it's that far of a drop off.
Shout out to the chat. We got Keely Cho in the chat. Hey, Keely, what's up? She says, hey, everybody. What's going on? Well, yeah, we're just comparing Indy 5, the Dial of Disaster, to Kingdom of the Crystal Skull at this point.
Yeah, and what I would say, though, it has the same feeling as the difference between the the sequel trilogy has the same drop off in Star Wars from the prequels as this movie does from the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Keely says there are only 3 Indiana Jones movies.
Yeah, that's true too. But,
stay tuned for Phil TMNT's channel about talking about the only Indiana Jones movies that actually exist in the right universe. But we're still stuck in the ass backwards universe, so that's why we're talking about this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, unfortunately, we have to live in this particular timeline.
Fucked up universe that we're currently stuck in.
Yeah, but I consider this movie, the new one, to be basically the Last Jedi of Indiana Jones. It's a fucking insult.
As does most people.
It's a fucking insult to Indiana Jones fans, start to finish.
Same here, Keely. I will take Kingdom of the Crystal Skull over Dial of Disaster anytime too, yes.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I actually have a physical copy of the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull out in the living room, so there's that.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, at the time, we were thinking, oh, well, that's kind of crappy,
Yeah. It was
everything was crappy at the time, but
yeah.
Frankly, after this movie, you're like, okay,
yeah,
maybe it wasn't as bad as we thought.
It was kind of like the reaction of the sequel trilogy with the Star Wars prequels. The prequels, 1 and 2, ended up being really great in comparison of the sequel trilogy for Star Wars at that point. Same thing goes for the Crystal Skull. Seems better than it actually is because of the Dial of Disaster. Or as Gary seemingly calls it, in erotic, the Dial of Diarrhea.
Mm-hmm.
There's
a major difference between
which makes me feel like that Gary went to Del Taco before going to see the movie. But either way.
Well, I was going to say there's a major difference between a movie that kind of makes you not take it seriously.
Yeah.
And a movie that just fucking flat out insults you.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the difference between the two films here.
Mm-hmm.
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull made me think, okay, well, they don't take this seriously anymore. But it's not that serious to them.
Then again, only people who actually are artists in the movie industry take their movies seriously, like Tom Cruise with Maverick. He took that shit seriously.
Sure, there are people who take what they do seriously in the film industry.
Mm-hmm.
What I was saying, though, is that the difference between that and this, I mean, the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull and the Dial of Destiny, is that in the Dial of Destiny, they not only don't care, they fucking hate you. And they wish you would, as a fan, just fuck off.
And they hate the legendary characters of the franchise, too, on top of it.
Sure, yeah, no, they don't even like Indiana Jones at all, clearly.
Yeah.
They don't like him as a character. They wish he would change. They wish that he could change. They wish that he could be a whole different character. They resent the fact that he could ever be loved, essentially. How could you ever love this character? This character is flawed and stupid and antiquated and all this other shit in their minds about Indiana Jones. All just pervades everything they do in the film.
Newsflash.
It's all just an insult.
Newsflash, Lucasfilm. That's why we like Indiana Jones, because he's as flawed and fucked up as we are.
Yeah, I mean, perfect was not something that anyone would have called the character. Obviously, he's not perfect. I mean, even to the point of, in some cases, borderline hypocrisy. Which, again, if that's going to be the way your character is, oh well, that's the way the character is. You know, you can still have a character with flaws be a hero. It's not like that's the other thing they don't understand about all their insert characters. Is every time they insert a new character, they try to make them absolutely flawless and moral and perfect,
and it's not realistic.
And it's absurd because no one is that way. Unless, you know, in their own mind, they're just a psycho. They think they're perfect, but they're not perfect.
And
they're not close.
And Keely in the chat makes a good point about Tom Cruise movies. Tom Cruise makes movies that are meant to be seen in movie theaters, not on streaming services. Absolutely.
And there's that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The best place to see Tom Cruise is in a theater. Dare I say it? Yes, I do. Tom Cruise is one of the last real movie stars anymore.
And the other thing about Tom is that Tom actually cares about what moviegoers want to see.
Mm-hmm. He actually
and he's
wants
not trying
to.
Yeah, and he's not trying to insert a bunch of shit that nobody wants to hear or see into his movies.
Yeah.
He's inserting things that people are excited to look at, excited to hear, excited to see. He cares about the character. He cares about the writing. He cares about how it looks on film.
Yeah.
He cares about the old magic of cinema. He believes in that magic. Hell, he's part of it.
Yeah. But Tom knows exactly what we want to see: action, adventure, good storytelling, and his face.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, and at this point, because we've been so deprived of that lately, we just so little of that is going on in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
All Hollywood wants to do is preach to us about their basically their religion.
More like their cult.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Their personal religion, they want to preach it to us, and that's why they make films, because they have a religion they're preaching.
Yeah.
But none of us are like, we're not trying to hear any of that shit. We didn't go to the theater to hear about how Hollywood thinks they're moral. Like, I don't care about you people. I'm here for the character. I'm here for the story. I'm not here for your personal moral ideals. What you think is right and wrong.
Okay, I just got your text message about trying to be on time.
Yeah.
Which we're early.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway.
Yeah, it's just appreciated when they don't try to moralize in film. Because we know Hollywood is not a moral place and not full of moral people. So for them to even pretend is just an absolute, it's a joke. And so all of those movies where they try to do that all fall flat at this point because of how bad Hollywood really is.
Hence why every Disney movie that comes out loses the money anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And hence why anything not Disney generally does well. Super Mario Brothers movie, Top Gun Maverick, and Mom and I want to go see The Sound of Freedom soon.
Sure, which is the other elephant in the room this week was that movie shocked everybody by going at #1 in the box office.
Yeah,
in face of Indiana Jones.
Rightly so, because it's talking about a topic that not a lot of people want to hear about, but it needs to be had.
It's actually a film written by heartfelt actors. I mean, it's basically written by Jim Caviezel. So, I mean, it's a heartfelt film. It's a powerful story.
Mm-hmm.
It's got good characters. I mean, the whole thing is one big,
and
the way film should be.
And the star of the movie is the same actor that played Christ in The Passion of the Christ.
Yeah, I know, Jim. Yeah.
and it's directed and produced. At least I think it's directed by Mel Gibson, right?
Sure, it was a joint project, just like The Passion, really.
Yeah, and $12 million budget. It's already made a profit in just one day.
Sure, yeah, no, not just that, but it's gone well past its profit margin.
Well,
It's
it wasn't hard to do. It was only made with $12 million, which is
yeah, no, it's gonna be
which is actually a lot of money to me, but to Disney, that's nothing.
But the whole thing right now is perfectly illustrated that critics and, well, maybe not critics, but people who are moviegoers, people who go see films, on the weekends, who are regular folks, want to see good movies. And they don't give a shit about Hollywood's attitude about itself or about America or any other political bullshit. Nobody wants to hear that shit. We're here. We go to the movies for the sake of getting away from that shit. We're not going there to hear about all the political shit in America. And if there is a political element to a story, it cannot be the focus of the whole story.
Yeah.
And if you do that, you understand that you are now categorizing your film into a propaganda film. You're not making, some sort of, adventure story. It's not an adventure story at that point. It's propaganda.
Keeley says Mel Gibson endorses Sound of Freedom. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And he endorsed it.
Okay.
I was thinking it was Jim Caviezel project. So, yeah.
Well,
but anyway.
Well, he is playing one of the main characters, so.
Mm-hmm.
But we're straying off topic here. The Indiana Jones franchise is in the middle of its Star Wars sequel trilogy downfall. We just had The Last Jedi of the franchise. Crystal Skull to me is kind of like The Force Awakens. Yeah, it's fine on its own. But this, it's basically the Luke Skywalkering in The Last Jedi situation for Indiana Jones at this point.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's the difference between The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was a silly movie. A silly movie where you would basically not take it all that seriously as an entry in the Indiana Jones.
Kind of enjoy for what it was, but it still
wasn't
the best. Yeah. But it also wasn't the best that George Lucas and Steven Spielberg could do for that franchise either. Because as is widely accepted by most people in our community we're trying to build, and in the greater Geeks and Gamers, Nerdrotic, and everyone else's community that has a functioning brain in their head, that the Indiana Jones franchise should have ended with The Last Crusade. Hence its last name, The Last Crusade. Like the Marvel Cinematic Universe should have ended with Endgame.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Marvel is slowly figuring that out too.
Yeah,
that is actually
it's
a separate story.
It's way too late though.
Yeah.
But
now that they've blown.
But then again, I doubt
it.
But then again, I doubt that they're actually learning anything because they are owned by Disney as well. So, and as we know, Disney never learns a goddamn thing.
Yeah, Disney. They know they need to change, but they refuse to change. They'll never change.
I think we have a first from Keely in the chat here. We know very well that she hates pineapple on pizza, right, bro?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Well, she just said in the chat, I'd rather eat pineapple on pizza than watch The Dial of Disaster.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, never mind. Keely's a gentleman. I'm sorry, Keely.
Yeah.
Well, it's not the first time that I've misgendered someone. I've done that with Joshy once or twice, too. But it is what it is. But either way, we're glad you're here, Keely. We're glad that anyone is watching this because we're nothings here in the, well, I don't want to say the ass end of nowhere. We're stuck in the middle of a desert here in Glendale, Arizona. So, and Red Hood has just popped in the chat laughing her ass off. Thank you for being here, Red Hood.
Yeah.
But anything else we want to add about the Indiana Jones franchise that we haven't already said, which probably isn't much?
Yeah, all I would say at that is like, if they expect success in the film industry at this point, any success for their film, they cannot insult the audience. Don't insult the intelligence of the audience. Don't insult the characters that we came to see. Don't do that, because we will make you lose money. Period. You will lose money doing that.
Thank you, Keely. Keely, I am aware that Snowdub is living in Arizona, so is Razorfist, i.e., Rageaholic.
Yep.
And so is Biggles Metz as well, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, there's quite a few.
Yeah, so I'm in good company here in Arizona, aside from my good brother Desert Nord here, whom you can find on YouTube as well with his memes that he does.
Yeah.
So when you guys get the chance, go check out Desert Nord on YouTube. I think, yeah, and none of his videos are very long, so you could get through his entire channel before you get done having dinner.
That's true too. But yeah, anyway, I'm kind of glad to see, as far as the whole topic of poorly made films getting what they deserve, which is what I classify this whole thing as.
Yeah.
I'm glad to finally see that happening, instead of people mindlessly going to a movie theater and giving $1 billion to a writing and cast crew that didn't deserve it.
Yeah.
I'm very happy that people are actually thinking before they watch a movie and actually asking, hey, is the movie any good before I pay to see it?
Well, that's why I go to people like Heel versus Babyface and Nerdrotic for thoughts on movies before I decide one way or the other.
These days, you can never be sure, because they do this crap. They've done it for years now, and it's time that it ends. Mm-hmm. It's really time that they be held accountable for crappy filmmaking.
Yeah.
And lazy writing and insulting the characters and doing essentially everything wrong you could ever do in movie production.
Well, we are seeing that here in 2023, like I said previously, with the Mario Brothers movie, with Top Gun Maverick, and now the Sound of Freedom, and soon to be coming the next installment of the Mission Impossible franchise featuring Tom Cruise. Mm-hmm. And more movies to come.
Which is called Dead Reckoning, by the way. It's going to be 2 parts, I hear.
Well, it's still worth looking forward to seeing. So.
Oh, yeah.
But then again, really any Tom Cruise movie is for the most part. So.
I'm also excited for Oppenheimer, which is coming out at the end of the month here.
What's that?
Well, I told you about it before. It's the story of J. Robert Oppenheimer, the man who built the first atomic bomb.
Oh, yeah. Project, the Manhattan Project.
The Manhattan Project, yes.
Yes. Bear with me as I try to remember historical topics, because my memory is like a lazy Susan. You're just going to have to bear with me. It'll come back around in about 5 minutes. Or about 5 years in some cases.
That's all right. I expect that one to do relatively well at the theater.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see if it's as good as it's supposed to be.
Well, we'll see what happens. But on that note,
I've heard good things so far. So.
On that note, earlier this afternoon, I was live on Twitch playing Hogwarts Legacy, so stay tuned for that to go to the gaming channel on YouTube, Drew That Underground Gaming, tomorrow at some point. By tomorrow evening, I'd say. Otherwise, if you guys want to go watch what I did earlier, go over to Drew That Underground Games over on Twitch and go watch it right now if you want. It's up there right now. Beyond that, I don't know the next time that I'll have a chance to be live doing anything, because next Saturday, Joshy will be over here with Desert Nord for a small underground meetup of the 3 of us for the first time together in the same room.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be having some Chinese at that point, and who knows whatever else we'll be doing at that point.
Mm-hmm.
then maybe by Sunday I might have a chance, as in next Sunday, to play something else on Twitch or YouTube respectively. We'll see what happens. Anything you got going on before we get out of here?
Oh, no, nothing much at the moment.
So on that note, you can find Desert Nord at Desert Nord 26 on Twitter. You can find him on YouTube as Desert Nord, as in 2 words on YouTube. I'm Drew Underground, the channel you're watching right now. Drew Underground Gaming for YouTube gaming content, and Drew Underground Games on Twitch side. We'll see if I wind up doing anything with Kick or Rumble in the future, but who knows? The future is always shifting. But until then, I'll see you guys next time. Fuck Disney. Fuck Naughty Dog. Fuck saying anything about Raylos because it's over, because it's done and dead at this point.
Yeah.
Thank you, Red Hood, and thank you, Keely Cho, for being here with us as well for the entire chat. Thank you to you guys who will be watching this after the fact as well. Please share this out. Let the people know the underground is still here and still making noise. And anything else you want to add?
Well, no, I'm all right. That's all for me.
And fuck Bidenomics. We'll see you guys next time.
Yep. You guys.